This is an incredible time in our history, and I'm so glad to be able to spend some time with you. I don't get a chance to do this often. That 99.9% of my client base are what I call light expression people, white folks. And so I leave here and go to LA and speak this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and then I leave there and go to Raleigh, North Carolina, a motivational event before like 5,000 to 7,000 light expression people. Then I go back to Malaysia and Singapore and Perth, Australia, and Adelaide, touring with Sir Richard Branson. And it's very interesting. When you travel in circles with a billionaire, it's a different kind of experience of reality that it gives you in terms of what you see is possible. But the most exciting thing I like is being able to spend this time with you, because last year this time I would not have been able to do this, because I was re-diagnosed with prostate cancer. I was diagnosed 17 years ago, and my PSA was then, I was on BLS, and Dr. Stone here, I read about Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier and General Norman Schwarzkopf having prostate cancer, so I decided to launch a prostate cancer project to encourage African American men to do it. So the guy that I asked to be my expert, he said, have you had your prostate examination at the time of 6 years? I said, no. He said, well, you need to do that. Don't ask me to do something you haven't done. So I went down and I did the test. He called me the next day. He said, Mr. Brown, you can come into my office, and a serious tone in his voice. And I said, what's up? He said, I need to see you face to face. I said, look, I said, just tell me now. You know, don't sugarcoat it. What's up? He said, you have prostate cancer. And so it was, something happened that day. I'll never forget. I was on the air, and I went in. I can't think of Percy Sutton's brother, one of his cousins, was the program director. And that guy really didn't like me. And at first I was angry, but then as I look back, I'm glad he did it. Excuse my expression, but he turned this off, turn your thing off, because I need to say something. He said, Les Brown, I went in my office and said, look, I said, I came here to do a nationally syndicated show, but they told me that my PSA, this national prostate specific antigen, is 125, 1 to 4 is normal. So I said, I'm going to step down and I'm going to go deal with this. So he cut a public service announcement with music playing in the background near my garden, and he said, Brother Les Brown is dying of prostate cancer. And I'm driving home and I'm hearing this. And by the time I get home, get to my apartment, you know, phone is ringing off the hook, and he said, you know, Brother Les Brown has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. He's dying, and brother, we wish you the very best. We're praying for you. I was so angry. By the time I got the 17th call, I snatched the phone off, and I just said, you know, I said, he doesn't know me like that to make that kind of statement. And so I had to fight that, and so I did. Then, 2 years ago, I had this severe pain in my back, and I was getting acupuncture, and I was going to chiropractic treatments, had this severe pain that only when I wasn't speaking it hurt. When I spoke, it did not hurt. But my partner said, you need to go to Florida Hospital and be examined. Come to find out that cancer had returned, had metastasized to 7 areas of my body and ate 40% of my T1 vertebrae. Now, first of all, I was glad to hear that it had metastasized to 7 areas of my body, because 7 is my lucky number. I brought up 7 children. I was born February 17th. My social security number is 267. Did I tell you 7 is my lucky number? I knew my immune system was beating the hell out of that 7 spots of cancer, because 7 is my lucky number. Naaman dipped himself in the River Jordan 7 times. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho how many times? 7 times, all right? God made the world in how many days? 7 days. Did I tell y'all 7 is my lucky number? And so now, my PSA was 1,850, And so now I'm cancer-free. My PSA, which stands for prostate-specific antigen, but to me stands for positively staying alive, is 0. So I'm cancer-free, debt-free, and drama-free. Go ahead. Yes, indeed. And so to God be the glory, and trust me, to be seen than to be viewed. Can you feel it, brother? But I want to share something with you where I am and what I'm up to now, and then I want you to ask me some questions. You're in a very unique position. You're in a city where over 50% of black men in this city have been unemployed. Let me tell you how detrimental that is to you. They did a study, the Gallup agents who do the polls. If a person is unemployed for a year, actively seek employment, and can't find it, it is more detrimental to them psychically than the death of their parents, or divorce, or going bankrupt, because of the diminishing impact that it has on them. Now, I submit to you that the reason that these men have been unemployed is not because of the economy. It's because of their mindset. This is the one area, Urban League, NAACP, what's Al Sharpton's group called? National Black Network, Action Network, yeah. None of these organizations have ever dealt with the most crucial things that we'll talk to you about. And there's one thing I want all of you, I'll give you some homework to do. I want you to go online and download an article that was written years ago, and it was in the Avenue of the Americas by Peter Drucker. It's called The Age of Social Transformation. I do a Monday night call, and I do this every Monday night, 8 o'clock to 8:30. I've been doing this for several years. I did it for Cancer Congress, but then they started adding family members and friends, and people from around the world get on this call. And The Age of Social Transformation, it talks about what it's going to take to make it in this new economy. And I submit to you that at this point in time, you know, in James Weldon Johnson, stony the road we trod, bitter the chesting rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet, with a steady beat have not our weary feet, listen to this, come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We've come over a way that with tears has been watered. We've come treading a path through the blood of the slaughter. Where we are right now, 2007, Time magazine said the computer was the person of the year. I wonder, why would they say that? And the reason they said that, for the first time in the history of the world, everyday people have access to information. Mind you, we live in a country where it was a capital offense for us to learn how to read. Everyday people have access to information that wealthy people have. Okay? Now, trust me, when you tour with Sir Richard Branson, they had a lot of choices of who will we get to be head up this presentation. Who is it that's going to be in the lineup? They had a lot of choices. But one of the things that allowed me to be on that platform, that something Jackie Robinson asked him, said, how is it you're successful in baseball and your people not successful in business? He said, because when I go up to the mound, there's nothing between me and that pitcher but air. When I get on that stage, there's nothing between me and that microphone but air. He might have Virgin Airlines, but when we come on that stage, he's in my territory. I take no prisoners and eat the wounded. I'll sprinkle ketchup on it. Let me tell you something up in here. So here's what my goal is to do. I don't believe that God saved me and gave me grace to beat prostate cancer just to help those who have get more. You know, I leave here, I speak at this big conference on Tuesday morning, and then I fly from there and I go to Procter & Gamble. When I speak domestically, the average American earns $21,000 a year. When I speak domestically, I charge $25,000 an hour. I have no college education. How many have college education? Raise your hands, please. You all got college? Good. I have no college education. And when I was in 5th grade, I was labeled educable mentally retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, failed again when I was in the 8th grade. And I don't know who my birth parents are. If both of them came in here right now, I would not know either one. But I had this high school teacher that I'll call between the time that I went to speak, who taught me 3 things. Everybody, let us say together, mindset. Mindset. The reason that 50% of black men are unemployed in this city is because they have developed an addiction to powerlessness. That's it. Addiction to powerlessness. And what we have to do, Dr. Carter G. Woodson in The Miseducation of the Negro, he said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. He said, if you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, never have to order him to go to the back door, he'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand it. And so what I'm doing and what my goal is at the stage of my life for people who are interested, some of you hear me in your ears, some of you hear me in your heart, and you know who you are, is to teach our people how to break the cycle of addiction to powerlessness and to give us a vision of ourselves beyond our circumstances and mental conditioning. I wish I could say I was the original thinker of this, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he taught, if you give a man a strong sense of identity, that gives him life a sense of purpose. And once a man's life has a sense of purpose, that will give a man's life a sense of direction. So the goal is to create an achievement-driven mindset. And the other thing that's important is that we have to, my goal is to train 100,000 voices of hope and teach people how to communicate effectively, not only to transform the mindsets collectively of people, but to create a thirst, the want to, let us say together, the want to. The want to. Where they are self-driven. There's no saying, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. However, if you know how to effectively communicate, you can create a thirst where they want to drink, all right? To create the thirst where they're continuously expanding and upgrading their knowledge and skill set, because the primary reason that people fail, and particularly black men, is 1, mindset. Addiction to powerlessness, they don't know who they are. 2, limited capacity. Now let me explain here. Michael Jordan was a championship player. He had the capacity, but he didn't have the skill set to win a championship. What a coach does is help that person who has the capacity develop the skills to win. Does that make sense? Yes. Yes. Muhammad Ali said, I'm the greatest. However, he never won a championship without Angelo Dundee. Okay, what the coach does is help you to develop the skill set to leverage your capacity to be able to do that which you can do best. Without the skill set, and we know the best players don't make it on Sunday afternoon football. Best players don't make the teams. Because I had a guy who went to school, we called him Breakaway. Every time he got the ball, he broke away. But Breakaway used to steal cars all the time. And they put him in jail, and he couldn't break away. Yes? Everybody knows somebody like that. Just didn't stay in school. There's a boy that was in New York that I saw this show on called The Greatest Basketball Player Who Never Played. You know, he never played in the NBA, but everybody knew he was a bad boy. But he just never made it. You know, he just never made it. So my goal is to train people what I've done, because I did not know. When I started out, I used to go see Zig Ziglar and the late Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Tony Robbins, and I was the only black person in the audience. And I used to look around and I said, wait a minute, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. If white people who've never been enslaved need somebody to teach them to think positive, Need somebody to tell them to be possibility fakers. Need somebody to teach them how to pull their own strings. And they never had a system structured against them. What more do we need? And that's when I started thinking about it, and I had to go back and revisit Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who said, the miseducation of the Negro. We have been miseducated on who we are. And so if you don't change, there are 16 most revolutionary words, as my favorite book says, be not conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. If we don't do that, if we don't transform the mindset, number one, and my goal is to train 100,000 voices of hope outside of politics, which say, vote for me and I'll give you your piece of the American pie, and outside of religion, which says, do as I tell you to do and I'll teach you how to live after you die. Teach 100,000 voices of how to begin to give people hope when there's hope in the future. That gives you power in the present. More people committed suicide in this country, according to the CDC, than were killed in traffic accidents because people have lost hope. And so if you've got 100,000 voices that's giving the same message. It said they're all speaking the same message. If they're speaking the same message, there's nothing they can't do.
That's right.
Okay? And so when you are transforming people's mindsets and then create a thirst where they work on themselves to increase their value, because based upon your knowledge and how you use your skills to create value, let us say together, create value.
Create value.
The 50% of that's unemployed have not learned how to create value. And now this is the first time in our history that through the comfort of your own home and sitting on a couch, you can learn how to read. 67% of men who are incarcerated are functional illiterates. For the first time in the history of the planet, you can learn anything from the comfort of your couch, get access to any kind of information, and create a global business, even if you're an ex-felon. Even if you're an ex-felon. We're asleep. They don't have a clue who we are. There are volunteer victims that are unemployed. Can't find a job? You create it. And so I wanted to know, could I, given the fact being labeled educable, mentally retarded, could I, born in an abandoned building on a floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, could I develop myself into an intellectual resource to get corporate America to reach over people with MBAs and PhDs to come in and select me to come in and teach them how to do something I've never done. I had two people up in my office, up in my room today. One is an attorney. She has 3 degrees, light expression person. Gary Lynn, he's a PhD, he's an MBA, and he has an engineer's degree, and he came to me today for me to teach him how to use his knowledge, author of 4 books, so he can come out here and do what I do. They say, you bad, Les. But everybody repeat after me, please. Success.
Success.
Without successors.
Without successors.
Is failure.
It's failure.
Boy, look like my baby brother does. Look at him. Lord have mercy. Look like I'm looking at my face. And I get sick, I'm gonna send you out for me, all right? You would like that $25,000, wouldn't you? I know that. Yeah, so the other thing that is crucial, and we only had one leader who understood this, to me, that was the greatest leader that we've ever had, that nobody will ever say publicly. But what he knew, not only must you transform people's mindsets and create a thirst in them to increase their skill set on an ongoing basis, but the other thing is, and I want you to write this down, the power of community. What I'm going to teach is 100,000 people how to create communities of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. Once you have that, there's nothing you can't do. When you have a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships, that's the master key, those 3 things. Mindset transformation, encouraging people to expand their skill set, because this is the era of what is called the 3 C's: accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. I got 3 partners that I'm partnering with now. When I go back to Singapore next week, and these people that's coming in this room to be with me that in Singapore and Malaysia, where I'm going back, each one of them paid $2,500 to be in the room with me for 2 days. Now, the difference am I going back this time that is dramatically different than when I went there 30 days ago. A guy named Don Maltz called me and said, "Les, you don't have to take your products with you. We will give you a code that you give to everybody, and when you finish, they will take their phone and they will have, what do you call that thing when you go to the grocery store? A barcode saying, I want the product. Everybody who's interested, raise your hand. So take your iPhone or your Droid and swipe across your program, and at that moment when they swipe it, it's downloaded into their phone, the iPad, and their computer at home. Wow. This is a thinking man's era. You can't find a job, you create it. We can think. What's happening is our conditioning has been around athletics and sports. We're not using our mind in a different kind of way. And the other thing that we're not doing, you have no idea what you're doing right now. If I died today, the only thing that I would wish that I would have had is my children or my grandchildren to be with. Because this time that I'm spending with you is more important than the time that I'll spend next Tuesday with Success Resource, where they pay me $25,000, and I'm not getting paid anything to do this. All right?
Give that a hand.
I don't want you to applaud that. That's not a good thing. You know why that's not a good thing? Because the more you pay, the more you pay attention.
That's right. Hello.
What I have, I spent thousands of dollars going to seminars and workshops. Ali, these guys want to book me. How long we known each other, Ali?
30 years.
30 years. And every time they call me, I always spoke free. So they told me they're going to have a motivational event. So I said, look here, pay me $7,000 inclusive.
Yeah.
You know how much it cost me to fly here last night? $6,000. First, I fly first class. I don't fly coach. $6,000 round trip. Round trip. I say, pay me $7,000 because 7 is my what? $7,000, and I'll come speak for you and spend time. All right? He came back and they said no. You know why? Because they couldn't psychologically do it. Because they were working for free for so many years. Couldn't do it. Then come back and say, can we work something else out? Can we work out another deal? They just said no. I said, Ali, I love you, listen to me. As long as your butt points toward the ground, and the sun introduce the morning, and darkness dominate the night, I will never deal with you Negroes again in life.
You sure did. You told me that.
Now, so Lorraine called. And because I like gold teeth, why you had to go there? You got to stop talking about our gold teeth. What's your first name? Stephon. Huh? I'm Stephon. Stephon? Don't talk about our gold teeth.
I won't. Better not talk about our gold teeth, bastard.
Yeah. But when she calls, I'm going to respond. Why? Because she's a quality person. He's a quality person, too. He's a quality person. But the thing is this, that we have to get in the habit of investing in ourselves.
That's right.
Yes.
You got to make it happen. Because by doing that, the only way that I got here is that I studied these guys. I went to their seminars and workshops. How is it that they are able to tap into our stuff? They study us. In Detroit, Chinese are going to Detroit to learn the automobile industry from the ground up. The Koreans came. Black people used to earn $5, 95 cents out of every dollar spent on hair care. Now we're making less than 2 cents out of every dollar. Why? They came, they studied the culture. Let us say they're the culture. What we have to do is create an achievement-driven culture. Achievement-driven. You go to Chicago, where the president was a South Side community activist. Chicago's not known for producing the first black president. You know what they're known for? Stepping. They got stepping classes where you can learn how to step, how to dance. And I'm saying to you, as we look at ourselves, we have to begin to get a different kind of paradigm to begin to develop an achievement mindset. We got to look at things and from a different kind of mindset and ask ourselves, who is it we have to be? What is it we have to do to begin to reinvent ourselves to achieve the things that we have the capacity to achieve if we are willing to be coached so we can develop the skill set along with the capacity and the achievement-driven mindset and collaborative achievement-driven relationships. We can create some incredible things. Can you all see that?
Yes, sir.
Ask me some questions, please. Yeah, don't everybody raise your hand at the same time. Yes, sir.
It sounds like, because people are so deep into this mindset, it sounds like you need a lot of time to kind of mentor and be trained and turn that around. What are you proposing?
We don't need a lot of time, really. The methods that I have learned, the key to it is, first of all, everybody say together, distract. What I'm doing with you right now, how you live your life is a result of the story you believe about yourself.
Right.
So what I do, everybody say dispute.
Dispute.
Inspire.
Inspire.
You need to write those 3 things down. What I will teach these 100,000 voices of hope to do is how to do an intervention. Because psychologists say how we live our lives, our self-explanatory style, is a result of the story we believe about ourselves. So what I will do is teach you out of your truth, out of your story, out of your experience, how to use your story to individually and collectively distract people from the story they believe about themselves with your story, and through the execution and the delivery of your story strategically and experientially, because what I mean by that, story has no power in and of itself. And through the strategic execution and delivery of your story, you dismantle the limited belief system and their addiction to powerlessness, and it inspire them to become like a pencil in the hand of God to start writing a new chapter with their lives. What's your name, sir?
Mark Chan.
Mark, what do you do?
I'm the president of Gold Star Management and Training and Consulting.
How long you been doing that?
15 years.
What did you do before that, Mark?
I was a project manager at Bell South.
At Bell South, you're a project manager. And what did you do before that?
Prior to that, I was a consultant with EDS.
A consultant with who?
EDS.
EDS. What is your passion?
Training.
Training.
Yes.
When did you realize that that's what you love to do?
I think it was when I was in corporate America and I was actually training people and they were really getting it and being able to.
When you say getting it, what do you mean getting it?
It was transforming their mindset from, where they were into basically, tooling them up to with technology and stuff. So that was probably back in 1989.
And what did you enjoy about doing that when you were working for them? Who were you working for then?
Dittler Brothers.
Say it again?
Dittler Brothers.
Dealer Brothers?
Dittler Brothers.
Dealer Brothers. And so what was your position?
I was in the quality control department.
Quality control department, and you were training people.
Yes.
And in the course of training people, what was the aha moment for you? Do you remember that day where you were and what you saw that you said, whoa, I like this?
I think it was, changing the way people were thinking about how they do their jobs, using technology to help improve what they were already doing,
Yes.
and just empowering them to make a better product. and then helping change the culture from more of a production orientation to a more customer quality driven.
And so
it took some time.
you realize at some point in time that that was your calling.
It was my calling. I
Yeah.
knew it that-
See, I don't want to know what he does for a living. I want to know what he's living to do. Okay? Very good. So let me tell you what I would do with you, with your story. Hi, my name is Mom. Say hello, Mom.
Hello.
How many have goals that you like to achieve? Raise your hands, please. Good. You know, I want you to think about your goals. And I want you to reflect on your life right now. And I want to ask you another question, because all of you raise your hands. How many of you, if you had your life to live over again, know that you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands. Very good. I want you to think about your goals right now, because your raising your hand is confirmation that what you've done, what you've achieved at this point in time, is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for you. So I want you to think about your goals in your personal life, something that's important to you. And my first personal goal was to buy my mother a home. I'm adopted, and that was very important to me. And I want you to think about what will be your contribution, your social contribution. What will be your legacy? So a good man leaves a inheritance for his children and his children's children. And then I want you to think about what your financial freedom number will be. What does that number look like that will allow you to live a life beyond money? Let us say together, it's possible.
It's possible.
And as you look at yourself and look at your dreams, here's something important. Write this down. Master something you love. Master something you love. One day I was doing training on the job where I was. And in the course of this training of changing the culture, in the course of changing the mindset and letting the people on my team know that customers make votes with their dollars, and in the course of the training with my internal customers who had to serve my external customers, I realized something. I had an aha moment. How many of you had an aha moment? Raise your hands, please. I realized as I was doing that was something that I loved to do. And I decided from that time to this time, even though I was doing it for somebody else, even though it was a part of my job, I decided from that time to this time, this is me. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm suggesting to you, as you look at your life, look at your circumstances, look at where you are, and look at how you see yourself in the future, that in order for you to create that future for yourself, you've got to find something that you will master. Something that is a career, something you love so much that you do it for nothing, but you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. I mastered trading. I love helping people to begin to expand their minds to see what's possible. I love transforming our culture so they can begin to look at how is it that we can better serve customers. I'm reminded of a woman who said, who became a dominant voice in our industry. She said, it's not our intention to please our customers or to satisfy our customers. Our intention is to amaze them. Let us say together, master something you love.
Master something you love.
The other thing that's very important, write this down, accountability partners. That in order to do something that will make your life significant, you need in your life accountability partners. None of us do it by ourselves. Studies indicate that the greatest impediment to your success is the close relationships that you have. So you need to have people around you that will challenge you, people around you that will hold you to a higher standard, people around you that will hold you accountable. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group. So you want to have accountability partners because they impact your behavior and they influence your thinking. And what you're doing is surrounding yourself with achievement-driven relationships that will stretch you. Let us say together, I want to stretch.
I want to stretch.
The next thing that is very important, let us say together, raise the bar on yourself.
Raise the bar on yourself.
That as I looked at myself and looked at where I was, one of the things that I said, I gave myself an expiration date. I gave myself a day in which I would walk away. I gave myself a point in time that I said that I'm not mentally fit to work for somebody for the rest of my life. When you master something you love and you surround yourself with accountability partners and you raise the bar on yourself in your learning and the things that will push and stretch you, Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. It allows you to create a strategy where you can walk away. Let us say together, walk away.
Walk away.
Walk into your destiny.
Walk into your destiny.
Here's the other thing, write this down, kindred spirits.
Kindred spirits.
Yes, that in order for you to begin to move away from where you are to where you want to go, you've got to surround yourself with what I call OQP, only quality people, kindred spirits, achievement-driven, collaborative, supportive relationships. People who think like you. If you surround yourself with pigeons, you will never be able to soar like an eagle. You've got to look at your relationships and ask yourself the question, what are these relationships doing to me? Because at the end of the day, you want to hold yourself to a higher calling. At the end of the day, you want to make a mark with your life. And so master something you love, have accountability partners, raise the bar on yourself, create kindred relationships who have like values such as yours, and you'll make a greater mark with your life. And that's it, Mark. That's how I make my money. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yes, sir.
How you doing, Les? I had the opportunity to be in Los Angeles. We were on a tour for about 10 days with Brian Franklin.
Yes.
And the young men I had about 8 young men at your seminar. We were sitting up in the front.
I remember. Yeah.
And it's so interesting because when we left you, and these are young guys, I'm the commissioner here for public school basketball. I coached for 40 years in coaching, basketball and sports. So now I'm the commissioner. So I got a bunch of coaches that I'm looking to try to transform their minds so that they can better serve our young people. But I wanted to show you something here. And after we left your spot, I mean, these kids, they went to work, and boy, did they go to work.
Wow.
Look at that.
Only quality people
That's
t-shirts.
right. And these guys, they
Wow.
when they found,
OQB.
and isn't that something, man?
Yeah.
These guys are,
And see, let me share something with you. There's a guy named Billionaire PA. I talked about him on my call Monday night. Billionaire PA left Alabama, he's an ex-felon, went to LA. Couldn't find a job, but he went to school, got a degree in business and in marketing, but they didn't tell him, because you have a felony in your background, you won't be able to get a job, even though you have 2 degrees in marketing and in business. So he was depressed, and he was home one day after applying for over 155 jobs. And then something happened. His mother called him and said, "How you doing?" And out of frustration and anger, he said, "I don't look for jobs, I create them." And then in that moment, he said, whoa. He then went and got a t-shirt, and he put that on the t-shirt. He started, rather than looking for a job, selling. In 1 month, he sold over 1,000 t-shirts at $20 a piece. He calls himself Billionaire PA because he was a personal assistant. But his vision of himself, he saw himself as the CEO of a billion-dollar corporation. So he calls himself Billionaire PA. He came to see me at the radio station to interview him. I heard about it. And he came in his traditional way. He travels with a camera every day. He's somewhere in LA, standing on a corner, selling his t-shirt. But when you buy a t-shirt from him, he will videotape you and have you to give a testimony about your t-shirt, why you bought it, what caught your attention in the t-shirt, and that you're part of this movement of touching over 1 billion people in the world. He came to the radio station and he videotaped our interview and ran it up on YouTube. And he sold additional 2,300 t-shirts. See, there's no shortage of money, there's a shortage of ideas. This brother's thinking. Those young boys, they came there thinking. You hear what I'm saying? And what has happened is we're not thinking to the degree that we should be. We're not thinking, man. This is an incredible time. We got some Malcolms over there at Rikers Island. You hear me? Some Malcolms. My mother went to jail. Mamie Brown went to jail for selling moonshine and homebrew. So I have a heart and compassion for people who are incarcerated because society doesn't give us a second shot. I saw, when I was in Australia, I saw this sign, Arnold Schwarzenegger, come here, Arnold Schwarzenegger. take a picture with him. $750. He's going to share with you his philosophy about life. What is Arnold Schwarzenegger going to share with me about life? How to get my maid pregnant? But you get a pass when you're light expression. We don't get a pass. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We don't get a pass. You know, there's a guy, what's that guy? That brother, Hocho, what's his name? Motiv-ACTION. You know, they gave him some extra time in jail because he had 30 days, this attorney on the butt. We don't get to do stupid stuff.
They gave him a pass last night.
Yeah, they cut it down, but we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. You see, I come to see you. When I go to jail, I wear this. You know why? This is my armor of impact. When I go to jail, I tell them, say, you think I'm going to dress down because I'm coming to a jail and I'm volunteering my time? I have as much respect for you as I have for these corporate executives. So I'm dressing up for you because I want you to know I'm holding myself to a higher standard and I see you differently than how you see. You're not just a number to me. And what we have to do is hold ourselves to a higher standard. We're literally at a time, and while we have to create some different voices, we're literally at a time of monkey see, monkey do. Because we are allowing anything to affect our consciousness. Case in point, when you're in jail, you can't write on the walls. When you're in jail, you can't put artwork on the walls. So guess what you do? You put tattoos on each other. So now, 1 out of 4 African-American males have gone to jail. So now, you see people out with tattoos everywhere. Where did that come from? Jail! So now, rather than making a mark with your life, people sit around. When you get a tattoo, you can't be moving around. You got to sit on your butt and let somebody mark on you. If anybody can get a tattoo, but when you start talking about making a tattoo with your life, when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, Malcolm read, and I said, whoa, I'm here in Liberty City. This is my key out. I got to read. That's why when I studied Malcolm and I studied Dr. King, that Malcolm was a communicator. Dr. King was an orator. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to study how can I be able to be an orator and a communicator, because what that did, that gave him the versatility and the flexibility to speak to anybody. So he became my hero. Well, these guys, the reason that they are like they are is because of the fact that we have not trained enough people to develop them so that they can have some other people in their heads. I saw a young brother in the airport. Every time I see them showing their underwear, I get mad at myself. Because had I been doing my job, trained enough people, either I would have or you would have been in their head, and they would be dressing, reflecting our values.
Exactly.
This young man, how old are you?
28.
28, Javon. So I'm working with Javon, because he is my future. I'm 69. So my goal and objective now is to train, how old are you? 52. My goal and objective is to train you. What I've done, plus what I have, plus what you have, you can go further. All right? So what is happening is that there are people who, when they die, they take their stuff with them. You've had some bad boys in this city here. You know, Percy Sutton was a bad boy. He was a communicator. But you don't know, we don't see any other Percy Suttons up in here. Percy could communicate with anybody. You remember Percy Sutton?
Oh, yeah.
Percy was a bad boy. He would communicate. He was a master communicator. He was the one that set up the meeting between Malcolm and Dr. King. They argued for 2 weeks in his office, and he was a witness, the only one there, the meeting. He was a bad boy. I admired him. And as we look at ourselves, trust me on this, if we didn't do anything else but developed various voices right here, that's speaking. There's some people, you have an energy signature. There's some people, when I speak, you're going to get them.
Exactly.
When I speak, there's some people that will hear me in their ears. But there are certain people, when you speak, they will hear you. When you speak, they will hear you. They'll recognize you because they'll see something in common with you because you're young. And they'll identify with you. There's certain people, when you speak, They'll hear you. They won't hear me. They can hear me physically, but they're going to identify with you. They're going to feel you in their heart. And as a result, see, information doesn't change people. If information can change people, everybody will be skinny, rich, and happy. What I teach people how to use their energy signature to direct and create an experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. So what I'm doing now at this stage of my life, people who are serious, want to invest in themselves, teaching them how to become strategic, experiential storytellers. Because once you learn that technology, you can write your own ticket. You cannot be outsourced. There's no computer app that can replace your energy signature, your knowledge. Knowledge is a new currency, and your ability to communicate, to persuade, and influence human behavior. They can't create an app for that. That makes you indispensable. The reason Henson, what's the guy's name who discovered the North Pole? Matthew Henson. The reason that who's the white guy? Well, I can't think of his name. Huh? Perry. The reason he kept Henson, because Henson was indispensable. Henson was the only one that could talk to the dogs. Dogs didn't listen to anybody else. Henson was the only one that knew how to ration the food and the water that allowed them to travel. And he had to tell everybody else, you can't go. But I got to keep Henson with me because Henson can keep us alive. Y'all don't have the ability and skill. When I read that story, I said, I've got to find something that will make me indispensable. Something that I can do that represents my talent, my knowledge, and my energy signature that will create value in the marketplace. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
We're not doing that kind of stuff now.
Exactly.
We're spending too much time talking about racism in the system. When I look at Maslow and I look at Sigmund Freud studied mental illness. Maslow studied high achievers. And so I started studying people like Percy Sutton. I started studying people who had been successful, who made a way out of no way. Because what we know is what's possible for one is possible for all. Ask me some questions, please. Yes, sir.
If we could take away anything as a group here today from this, or if we could do any one thing after we left here, what would you like that to be?
Develop an achievement-driven mindset. Develop your communication skills. And create collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. If you do those three things, you change your life. You change your community from the inside out. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. If you change the mindset, we change our history. 95% of black men are killed by other black men because of our mindset. You change our mindset, it gives us a vision of ourselves beyond our circumstances and mental conditioning, decrease our level of unconscious self-hatred, and increase our sense of worthiness where we come to believe that life is God's gift to us and how we live our lives is our gift to God.
Now, for those of us who didn't have the opportunity to write that down, could you repeat those three things again?
Yes, sir, and I've been saying them again and again. Because faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. Transform your mindset. We need an achievement-driven mindset. Create a thirst to upgrade your skill set. What you earn is a result of the value you create with your skills. There, Richard Tan, who bought Peak Potentials and Get Motivated and has the largest seminars in the world, he pays me to come in because of my name, my reputation, my branding. I get butts in the seats, and because of my impact. I impact and I change lives. So I have created a value, a reputation, and a value that I can command in the United States, $25,000 an hour. Outside of the United States, $125,000 an hour when I speak internationally. So when he called today and said, will you speak in Bolivia? I said, well, I got to think about that because I have to compute between flying all the way there and I'm a 2-time cancer conqueror, and I already have another engagement that I talked to a company today that with your company that said they want to hire me. So I got they told my son to send a contract over of $25,000. So I got to look at, do I want to go there, travel thousands of miles and wear and tear on my body for $125,000 in product sales, or do I want to take $25,000 here, don't have to travel, and do that and sell products, because I'll still make over $125,000 at the back of the room, and send someone over there that I've trained and get 25% on the back end. See, but right now, we have the ability of, we're operating out of poverty consciousness because of ignorance. I got partners that working with me now that's teaching me how, that I've incorporated in my technology, something I was going to do when I came here. But for those of you that are serious, you know who you are, how to create non-performance income with a new technology that's there. Because we have now the ability. I've created a course called Communicate Your Way to Greatness that I've already recorded one time. I don't have to record it anymore. Now all I have to do is send people to that website to sign up for that course that's already recorded, and that can monitor their participation and their behavior, and can measure and monitor their level of efficiency and executing on the instructions that I've given them. Everything that we're doing right now, they're closing 51 schools in Chicago. Why? Because now they're teaching kids from home. They don't have to have those big buildings, have to have them warm in the wintertime and air conditioned in the summer. They don't have to worry about security. They're teaching them at home. It's cheaper, it's more efficient, and they can save money, and the results are showing, the testing results even higher than they're teaching them at home. So right now, what you have to look at, you know, when you look at, if we just wake up, I did a call last night called, there's a bell ringing. You look at the fact that you can, if you want to take a check to the bank, you have to, there was a time you had to take it to the bank physically, deposit. Chase, you can take a picture of the check and it's in your account. I'm not making this up.
Swipe too.
Am I making this up?
No.
Yeah, so what we have to do, I showed y'all upstairs, that they got this new technology that with your telephone, they call it Star Trek healthcare, where we're using your telephone, they can scan your body and give you a diagnosis in seconds using your telephone. Why is it important that we create collaborative, achievement-driven relationships? There's a time you go to Walgreens, all you can get would be prescriptions. Now in Walgreens, you get smoothies. They got a nurse that will do a diagnosis and prescribe a treatment if you got the flu or something. Okay? You can get luggage there. You can get T-shirts and clothes. Why? They have what are called affiliate partners that they're saying, look, you got a lot of traffic there we don't have. I got a product here. I give you a piece of the back end, sell my products for me. You got a lot of traffic coming in already. I don't have to go sit up and set up brick and mortar. Now you can click and order. It's not about brick and order. Click and order. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so this is what has happened is that we have to reinvent ourselves. 40-40 plan is gone, where you can go to college, graduate, get a job, work 40 hours a week for 40 years. That time is gone. And they ain't never coming back. So right now, this is an entrepreneur's era. And trust me, the older you get, you know, you're looking at somebody they've said, you have cancer twice. Cancer is the most feared word in 7 different languages. The older you get, the more money you're going to need. I never wanted to get rich. I just wanted to be comfortable. How many of you want to be comfortable? Raise your hands, please. I realized in order to be comfortable, you got to be rich. One sickness can change everything. Everything. So you want to be in a position to have strategic relationships. They think I just accepted this engagement to go back to Malaysia because of the people in the room. I'm not just going back for that. When I was there, I had an inflamed tooth, which I had needed a root canal. How much it cost to get a root canal done? Like $1,100, right? Man gave me my bill, and how much it was? $40. $40. So they told me, Mr. Brown, I got back here, went to Florida Hospital, and said, look, there's a plate over there, you need to go to, your dentist can't do this, you need to go to an orthodontist to remove the plate and the cap, then you need to go to the dentist to see if the tooth is worth saving. And if they have to pull the tooth, you gotta go to another specialist that they will pull the tooth and put graft bone in there. That's gonna cost you around $15,000. So I called Dr. Hannah in Malaysia, and I said, look, I was just curious. I'm coming back over there next Tuesday. What will it take for you to get a specialist to lift the cap off my tooth and remove the tooth and do a bone graft? She said, well, I can't get it as cheap as the last one. How much you paid? I said, $40. She said, well, let me give you, I said, just give me a guesstimate, a round figure. Well, I do apologize, but you know, we can do it for like $365 or $370. I didn't say anything right away because I was spoken unknown tongues. I said, what? She wanted to give me a round figure. I'm gonna say, Jesus! Let me tell you something up in here. Up in here. Let me tell you something. There are people, so then I'm finding out there's something called international. People going to India and different places to get their medical work done for $22, $100, and fly back. Because it's too expensive here. There's a whole world out there, and they were intrigued by me because of my hair. People dark as you, with long, flowing black hair, dark as you. They're looking at me, wow, look at him. Can I touch it? Listen here, and let me tell you what's mind-blowing. They don't know how beautiful they are. They got all these pictures of Europeans, white blondes up here. I said, y'all some gorgeous people over here. When you see a gorgeous Indian woman, let me tell you something up in here. They're gorgeous, you hear me? The lady came smiling and violated my personal space. I said, look here, I ain't been saved that long. I said, you got to back up. You ain't gonna break me down like that. I'm 69, but don't let this 69 fool you. Oh my God! Lord Jesus, have mercy, Lord Jesus. Boy, God's got a sense of humor. You hear me? I prayed when he diagnosed me with prostate cancer. I said, can you move it to my foot? You think Paul worked for you? If you move it to my foot, again, you take my foot, but don't mess with me. Little brother prayed. I was calling on Jesus, Yahweh, Allah, and I said, if you could just give me a break, cut me some slack. I know. I promise you I'll be good. I'm sorry. I mean it this time. I prayed so hard. Let me tell you something. I was praying so much this time, I started laughing in the middle of prayer. I said, you know, like I heard a voice say, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Crying, start running out your door. Where you been? Oh my God. You know y'all need some help. What other questions y'all got? Yeah.
All right, let's.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Elder, I teach fencing in the inner city, Newark in particular.
I used to fence.
And very good.
Yes, sir.
And this is a full circle moment because my best friend brought me here, and I was first introduced to you in 1989, one of your tapes, and that's what we would listen to on our way down to our meets. I say to my kids, what are we known for? Black people, what are we known for? Rape. This is a charter school, Elder.
Right.
Drive-by shooting, murder, you know, that's what they say. I say, well, what are white people known for? Money, doctor, lawyer, success. So they asked me, well, what do you think white people are known for? I said, the industrial military complex and the Illuminati. What, Elder, can I take back to my babies who don't know who you are? And they should.
But they don't need to know me.
Okay.
See, that's why my goal for people that are serious is to train others. I don't believe that God spared me just to help those who have get more. Cancer is cells going crazy. I have been out of alignment. I am debt-free. I am cancer-free. I have no debt. I speak because I want to. And there is a higher calling. One of the things that I remember, going back to Procter & Gamble, the first time that I spoke for them, I got on this shuttle bus that was picking up presenters. Just me and one Oriental guy was on there. I said, hello, how are you? My name is Les Brown. I extended my hand. He didn't shake my hand. He looked like he was in deep thought, but I assumed he did not understand English. So we got there, and there was about 30 people there with their video equipment and everything. I had a rolled up visual aid. I wasn't into technology then. So we all went in, they called our names, and we went in and gave presentations. And then they came out, and they called his name, they called my name, and they told the rest of the people to leave. When we went in there, the panel said, we want to ask you guys some questions to determine, ball down to determine which one we will select. So I said to myself, this is my arena now. I looked at him, and my look was, the only reason you were spared from birth control was to give me this contract. That's how the guy who was going to listen to our presentation. So he asked me a question, I answered it. This guy answered the same question, and then he put a very rare study at the back of his and then I was able to comment on that. And as we went back and forth, I said, whoa, this guy has read the same things I've read. So I read 2 to 3 books a week, and I learned that from Malcolm. At the end of it, they pushed back, and they said, whoa. They said, Mr. Brown, we're going with you. I said, thank you. When he and I turned, I held my hand out, he did not shake my hand. We went outside. I said, I got you today, John, but I have a lot of respect for you. I said, there are very few people that can go toe-to-toe with me with facts and studies. I said, I admire your communication skills. This could have gone either way today. And so he said, you didn't get me today. You deprived my granddaughter of money that I was going to use from this contract for a college education. And the shuttle came, and I got on, and he was waiting on somebody to pick him up. And as the shuttle pulled off, I thought about that. I was fighting for a contract. He was fighting for his granddaughter's education. That's a bigger cause. From that day to this day, when I go in, I have a mission. My goal in talking to you here, when Lorraine said, I have it so you can talk to some men. You're a part of my future, a part of a future that many of you, because of the age, that I won't be able to visit. But this is the true calling of my life. I should have been dead a long time ago. I believe the world consists of the caught and the uncaught. And I'm here because of God's grace and mercy. And so I say, what you want to affirm to them every day, make it simple. You have something special. You have greatness within you. Mm-hmm. When we emphasize that, when you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what your limits are. So you act like you don't have any. When Mr. Washington said, you have something great, you have greatness within you. I said, how do you explain the fact that I failed in math and history and English? I got to go to special education for the 5th straight year. I've got to go to summer school for the 5th straight year. My twin brother never had to go. They called me the dumb twin. He said, your grades don't determine who you are. Work on your mind, Mr. Brown. Work on your communication skills, Mr. Brown, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. And change your relationships, Mr. Brown. You run around with losers, you end up a loser. Now, we'll leave this with you. There's something I read, and I believe this. All of us are born with a voice in our heart. And that voice either says yes or it says no. All of us have a voice. And based upon our influences, our environment, our parenting, our education, and where we are, determines how that voice is nurtured and formulated and strengthened. And it happens between 0 and 5. When I was shining the shoes of Mr. Sidursky, my voice is interrupted. My brother's a prison guard in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The difference between us, the information in my head, and the relationships that I've developed. He earns $15 an hour, I earn $25,000 an hour. What was the difference? He was in another room cleaning up with my mother. I was in another room shining Mr. Sidursky's shoes, and he was playing Zig Ziglar and Earl Nightingale. We become what we think about. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. Unbeknownst to me, it was changing my mental blueprint, and I didn't even know. What you think about, you bring about. What we have to do is consciously work to begin to do a cleansing before you. Anybody ever everybody ever waxed the floor before? When you're gonna wax the floor, you don't just put wax on it, you have to strip it. Yeah, I want all of you to put this down, write this down. yes@lesbrown.com. Email me now in the next 30 minutes on your phone. yes@lesbrown.com and say, send me your video, It's Not Over Till I Win. And I'm gonna send you some videos. And I guarantee you, if you watch this, it's for free, it's not gonna cost you anything. If you watch it every day, and you remember this time that we have spent together, you're gonna see people that I've trained working with. When you listen to It's Not Over Till You Win, I'm speaking to over 80,000 people in the Georgia Dome. It's going to create a different paradigm. I was terrified that day. I remember my mentor saying to me, Les Brown, look at me. I said, yes. He said, you're afraid, aren't you? I said, yes. He said, Brown, you didn't come to see them, they came to see you. You can do this. Go out there, Brown, and be you. And I remember looking for his eyes. When I saw him, he just said, that's all he did. And it helped me to gather my senses, because my head was empty. Looking at 80,000 people, I couldn't think. He just said, your living room. You're in your living room. Bid whist. I brought a card game to the United States called Bid whist. It used to be called Id Whist, because I run so many Bostons, and my last name is They named it after me. No, really, this is real. Check out the history of Bid Whist. It's named after me. Go ahead, Google it, put Bid Whist, put Les Brown. I spank you, kitty or no kitty. Yeah. Has this been of value to y'all? Yes, sir. Well, let me tell you something. You have greatness within you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah.